Sketchcraft is recorded in front of a live internet audience and supported by listeners like you. Please be sure to leave a review on iTunes, like and share our Facebook page, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. All links can be found at sketchcraft.com. That's Sketchcraft, C-R-A-F-T, the name of the podcast.com. Remember, every little bit counts and it all helps to grow the show. Thanks. Welcome to Sketchcraft, the podcast for art, games, and process junkies. I'm Rob Duenas, full-time illustrator and graphic artist Esquire. This is an unedited podcast, which will probably contain strong language, so listener discretion is advised. Hello everybody, Rob D here. If you're just tuning into Sketchcraft for the very first time, you should know that we typically begin with an assortment of art, movie, and geek-related news stuffs, and then sort of wrap it up all with an in-depth topic chosen by either myself, Brandon, or you, the audience, which is usually never, unfortunately. You need the feedback. You need the feedback. Joining us this week is Mike Mullins, perler artist, game tester, and all-around geek tyrant. Say hi, Mike.
Hello.
Hey, Mike. So with that said, let's get into some news stuffs, and then we'll move forward. Brandon, say hi.
Hello.
Brandon from leadheavy.com. There, I plugged it. All right, we can move on. So first up this week, I got something I want to talk about, is J.J. Abrams has officially turned in the Star Wars script for Episode 7 to Disney, right? That he has co-written with Lawrence Kasdan. So to me, the new title should be Lawrence Kasdan just wrote another Star Wars movie. Because that, in of itself, is a celebration for geekness. And all geeks everywhere should be very happy about Lawrence Kasdan having actually written another Star Wars movie. Unless they fuck it up, but I don't know, man. I mean, you guys are aware of who Lawrence Kasdan is? Mike, Brandon?
No. Myself, no.
So Lawrence Kasdan was the screenwriter on Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He directed and wrote some movies called like The Big Chill. Over the last 10 years, he hasn't been as prolific. He took up spot work like on The Dreamcatcher and shit like that. But I find that a lot of those guys from that era don't get the best picks these days from Hollywood, you know?
Right.
Like Joe Johnston, director of Captain America, had to sling it around after winning that Oscar with Jurassic Park 3 and The Wolfman and shit, you know? So I don't really... But suffice to say, Lawrence Kasdan really helped him and Ivan Kershner, which is the director of Empire Strikes Back, and the producer Gary Kurtz really took Star Wars from, the pulp adventure of the first movie and threw it into the sort of dramatic, epicness of The Empire Strikes Back. And then Lawrence also, did all the groundwork on Jedi, which eventually got turned into the movie that we know now once Lucas sort of jumped in on the script. So the fact that Lawrence Kasdan has just written another Star Wars movie means that I have hope that we will actually be seeing something worth watching. So you guys have any feelings about that? Do you guys care about Star Wars? Or?
Well, it looks like, according to all the press and everything, that everyone's on board, everyone's ready to go, and it sounds like we might actually get a decent movie out of this one compared to the first three. The
prequels, right?
Yeah, the prequels, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they're shooting it on film, there's going to be practical effects. It's crazy when you start thinking about how, wow, they're going to shoot a movie on film. Ooh, oh my God, we're excited. Hey, they're going to use actual, effects. Oh my God, that's amazing. Somehow we've been tricked into thinking that the shit we always got is somehow special and unique. Mm-hmm. But this is a good notion. Brandon, you just recently, sat through all... Well, you sat through Addy 1, right? You watched the Addy 1, right?
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I like seeing people fix obvious mistakes and simple things and actually take the time to care about a project like he did. My wife's excited for new Star Wars movies, so as long as she's happy, I'm happy. So I like that. I think it'll be good. I love J.J. Abrams. I thought he made Star Trek cool. I've never been a Star Trek fan until the new ones. Now, the guy you were mentioning, the other guy
Lawrence Kasdan.
Right. Is he the one you said wanted to make a Boba Fett movie, or was that the
Joe
other
Johnston originally wanted to make a Boba Fett movie. They're doing that now, so I imagine the inception came from Johnston years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, when he was even quoted about having pitched that to Lucas. This was before the announcement to selling Lucasfilm to Disney. So they are going to make a Boba Fett film. And then everyone goes, well, Disney is ruining it. I'm like, no, I mean, I wish they'd let Joe Johnston direct it. I think he just signed up to do some other movie. Like right after I said, watch Joe Johnston sign up, but then he's doing some other film. So either he won't do it or maybe he will down the way. I mean, he's my pick. I have always found Joe Johnston. He was concept artist on Empire Strikes Back. He helped design the AT-ATs. Boba Fett he created. He created Boba Fett, the Snowtroopers, Slave One, and he ended up directing a movie of mine that I'm a fave of mine called The Rocketeer. Right, he directed The Rocketeer. He also directed an adaptation of a book called The Rocket Boys called October Sky, which is a great little drama, small movie, came out around 2000, I want to say. It was a good movie. And then, he got pickup work with Jurassic Park 3. He ended up becoming that guy that would go in and save the, or, get the movie done when the studio fucked everything else up.
Right.
And then he'd get the blame. Is basically how it worked. So he came in and got Jurassic Park 3 done when that production went to shit. He got Wolfman done when the director quit. So he had like 3 weeks prep. It was crazy. Somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks prep on Wolfman. He just tried to save the movie for the studio. And but he was able to take what he learned on Rocketeer, he did with Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was a concept artist on that. And then he made, Captain America, which to me is still my favorite Marvel film out of all the ones they've done. I think that's the one that I could just watch by itself and then watch Avengers as a sequel stuff. So I think that's pretty big news. People, have a love-hate relationship with J.J. Abrams. I like his work, And
I do have a question, though.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're doing something like they're shooting in film because of something maybe they learned from shooting all digital with the Hobbit movies?
No, this is just JJ prefers the format, which gets back to the idea that they should only do what a director wants to do. If a director wants to shoot in IMAX, wants to shoot digitally, they should just let a director do it. I think the biggest, pushback from, with The Hobbit, Peter Jackson wanted to shoot, 48 frames per second digital. Well, if that's what he wants to do, let him do it. If no one wants to go see it, that's the risk you take. You don't then take 48 frames per second and force every other director to do it because the studio goes, we're going to do all digital. You know what I mean? So JJ just prefers it. I think also, you can get away with a lot more in film. You can get away with tricks and stuff and he comes from TV. He created Alias. And that Alias was one of those things that, post Buffy helped bring about the movie as a TV show format, like those bigger budget.
I haven't thought about that show in a long time.
Yeah. So, he learned.
Great show, though.
Yeah, and that got him the Mission Impossible 3 gig, and so he to me, he saved Mission Impossible because that second movie, man, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. Limp Bizkit was the least of their problems on Mission Impossible 2. So. All right, let's move on. So I can't wait to hear more about Episode 7. Thank God. So let's move forward. So we got a new feature this week. We're going to start here where I put Brandon on the task of keeping track of some of our favorite artists, independent or people we grew up with. This week it's some bigger names on their Facebooks and stuff, because they're always talking about things I thought would be great to kind of wrap up on the show a little bit, on some news. So first up is Greg Capullo, current artist on Batman, kind of former artist on Spawn, right? And the
Greg Capullo will be...
Go ahead. Hello?
Yep.
Go ahead, Brandon. Greg Capullo will be...
The artist on Batman signed up for the next 2 years, up until 2016.
Oh, so he signed a 2-year contract with DC.
Yeah, so he'll be the man for the next 2 years.
I'm not a big Marvel DC guy. I like Batman, though, right? So I'm a huge Greg Capullo fan since he drew Angela, right? And his X-Force stuff I actually knew about at the time. But when he took over Angela and Spawn, I was, amazed. Anyhow, when he, that whole shit that went down with him and Robert Kirkman on fucking The Haunt left to go to DC, I'm like, he's just gonna... Capullo's a guy that we've been waiting to get the... He's the guy who deserves the credit, right? He's been an amazing comic book artist that just never got the mainstream appeal. I don't know why. You remember Wizard Magazine, Mike? Did you ever...
Oh, absolutely, sir.
Right. And Brandon, you know Wizard, right?
Yeah.
So back when Wizard would do the top 10 artists, you know, like Todd McFarlane always took number one, even though he wasn't drawing a book for years. He was inking Spawn, Craig was drawing it, but Todd would always get the number one spot as an artist. And I was like, that's kind of fucked up, because although I love Todd, the book, you know, under Greg's art stuff, really, really got better, you know, for in all sorts of ways. And so when he went to Batman, I was like, you just watch. He's going to end up becoming the best thing about that fucking book. And sure enough, dude, he rose quickly in the ranks of DC. So that's awesome. So 2 years of more Greg Capullo. So is he locked to Batman, or is he just signed up with DC?
It's to Batman. He put on his Twitter that he'll be up until and past issue 50. So he said he'll make it to it says Team Batman will be together past issue 50 up until 2016.
And so he'll be on the same book for 50 issues?
Mm-hmm.
See, now this gets back to, Mike, I've had this long belief that these studios, ever since Image, before Image, there was this thing of like associating an artist with the comic book character, like hardcore, like McFarlane was on Spider-Man, Jim Lee was X-Men. And after Image, you know, and they took that and formed their own company, you didn't see that occur. Like, they wouldn't let an artist draw a book for too long. Other than the Kubert brothers at Marvel, like, it would be like people wouldn't be on a book longer than 6 months. And this has occurred that way ever since. And I felt it's been hurting the industry because, you know, as a kid, you could be like, hey, John Byrne fucking drew X-Men for how many issues, right, Brandon? Like, you could follow an artist with the book. And so it's really great to see that out of fucking, you know, these two companies, that you could get an artist like Greg, you know, who could actually stick with the book for 50 issues. It's pretty impressive. Of course, he has the work ethic to get it done. And they're doing it the old school way, where he has his loose pencils and an inker renders the book out. You know, which isn't even done anymore. Now they just have an artist usually does the pencils, and they fucking color the pencils. Or if they do inks, not a lot of books are getting inked these days.
No, they go straight to color.
I was going to say, not much is getting inked.
Because there's not much money in the books as they used to be. So it's good to see that he's getting that. So that's awesome.
So can I ask, they did this big thing with Joker where one of my coworkers worked on all 3 Batman games. And then towards the end of the 3rd Batman game in the comic book, Joker peeled his face off to escape.
Spoilers for Batman.
Spoiler alert. So, but you know what I mean. And is this when this man signed on before?
He's the one who did that. Yeah.
Wow, then
it was actually before that. That was the second part of their first story arc that they did. They did a really cool story arc called Night of the Owls, or was it called like Night of something like that, right?
It was something like that, the Owls.
Yeah, and it had to deal with, because basically they relaunched the entire DC universe, and it wasn't a relaunch. It was ridiculous. Anyhow, there was this story where, you know, there was this underground secret society that hunted the Waynes. And they happen to have an owl fixture because owls hunt bats. And so it was this nifty mystery story. It's actually really good. But it was nice that, so Scott Snyder wrote it. And so that was their first story arc, basically. And then they did the Return of the Joker thing with the whole face thing after that. So I haven't read all those issues, though. So. Go ahead.
I said it's beautiful. It looks great.
Yeah, Greg is just
right now.
Greg is just a fantastic artist who's finally getting his due. So it's pretty awesome, actually. So let's move forward. The big thing this week. Let me think. Do I have any little stuff with artists this week? Because I'm going to move into this big topic. Just quickly off the top of my head, is there anything? I know Megan Hetrick is over there drawing Batman, so yay for her, right? Indie artist breaking into mainstream.
I saw that. I follow her on Facebook. I didn't want to ask her any questions, but I saw she's doing a lot of Batman art. I just don't know what book it's for. I think it might be the Joker's daughter, or
I don't know. So I have a hard time keeping track of all the books. You know,
right.
Like I just know Greg has that book they gave him, a Batman book. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I know it's fill in somewhere. But if you guys can follow Megan Hetrick over at her Facebook, she's a pretty good artist. I've had her on the cast before, so. But it's really great. I mean, I met her back at Ape, and she told me a year ago when I had her on the cast that she wanted to push to get into actual comic books now and get away from sketch cards. So she's over at DC doing her thing. So that is awesome. So let's move on to the big topic, which is if you've been following on Facebook, Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld was the creator of Deadpool, and he's infamous. If you don't know who he is, you shouldn't be listening to the fucking podcast anyhow. He has a Facebook page. He got into it. He posts on his Facebook page that someday he'll basically reveal what happened between him and Stephen Platt. Right? So Stephen Platt was an artist he hired in '94 to go draw a Prophet. He had just successfully wrapped up Moon Knight with, some amazing McFarlane meets sort of heavy metal visuals, right? I think that'd be fair to say.
Right.
Somewhere between Simon Bisley and Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah. And he was going to draw Cable, and then he broke off Cable and then went over to Extreme Studios and basically, relaunched Prophet around issue 5. And Dan Panosian was drawing at the time. And then came these incredible book delays, which were synonymous with Image. I mean, I don't think any of us didn't see that coming at the time. And then they relaunched Prophet within issue 1. And the first issue was fantastic, and no issue after that looked like that, and eventually he just disappeared. Like, he went and did Soul Saga on his own, and then disappeared from comics, didn't even finish Soul Saga. So Rob Liefeld comes out the other night, in the middle of the night, I'm on Facebook, and I see some guy I know post on there, Rob, you have to tell me what happened. And I was like, I wonder what he's talking about. And it's about Stephen Platt. And so, Brandon, you want to explain, a little bit, the tit for tat, right? So Rob Liefeld says, hey, I'm going to someday talk about Stephen Platt. What happens next?
Which is basically someone saying, someone asked me about this so I could just spill my guts, because that's all he really wanted to do. I want attention on this. Basically, he's like, ask me about what happened with him. And then people are like, oh, tell me a story. And he's like, well, the guy can't work on a deadline. I paid this guy so much money. He just goes on.
How much per issue?
$40,000 per issue, he says.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Mike, $40,000 an issue to ink and draw.
Issue. And then he says the guy wasn't even inking it towards the end. He said he was pulling in other inkers.
Well, he had Marlo Alquiza on board.
Right.
He only did breakdowns for 2 of those Prophet issues, too. Like, he didn't even draw them. Like, he did breakdowns, and there's someone else drew. And I think Pat Lee even jumped in on an issue as well. Yeah. So, I mean, but see, that 40,000 number was impressive because everyone was like, oh my God, 40,000 an issue. And I've tried to explain to folks when they ask me why I don't pursue comic books, and I try to explain to them that I'm well aware of how much people used to make in comics. Because that was when I wanted to get in. I thought, wow, you can become you can become rich because comics were selling 500,000, 700,000 copies in an issue. So you go 1994, 700,000 times $3, because Image Comics cost more than others, and how much is that? That's what, $2.1 million per issue.
Right.
You're bringing in. So when you pay a guy for $40,000 an issue, he was getting off. Right. He was making out. Like, he underpaid. You didn't even get points on reprints, probably.
Especially back then, because we had all the specific Image titles that they were just throwing out, and people were. I mean, I was buying them hand over fist.
Yeah, and we'd buy multiple copies too. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Plus the gold versions and the fucking platinum version.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were reaping the benefits. So that's a separate topic in of itself. Is that it's gone from $40,000 an issue to you're lucky to make $40,000 a year drawing for these people. You know? So go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say. Then he goes on, after people start commenting and say, ask this guy why he won't allow Image to print the final chapter of Soul Saga. This guy's a loon. Just fuel to the fire to get people going, the shit talking.
Now that I'm interested in, right? So Image published Soul Saga, not Top Cow. I don't know why I was thinking Top Cow at the time, but okay. So he's saying Soul Saga was finished. He just never let Image print it.
Correct. And they haven't talked in 17 years, and he wouldn't allow Liefeld and them to print the Soul Saga, the end of it. Won't talk to him. So he's calling him a loon, trying to call him out. Everybody's chiming in on it. He said the last time he talked to Platt or heard about Platt that Platt said he would never again draw Prophet, not for money, not for a commission, not for anything. Liefeld goes on to talk about, let's see. He's just telling people, hey, I like what you want. This is just how the true story goes. I mean, it's his opinion, but... And then Joe Weems, an inker.
Yeah, this is the part that gives me now. Joe Weems, Mike, if you're not familiar, he inked a lot of, Mike Turner, the guy who did Witchblade and...
Yeah.
So he was the inker on Witchblade and Fathom and stuff. Big Top Cow inker. Okay.
Right, and he goes on to say that he would never work with Platt, that he's too much of a pain in the ass, and that he would never even try to work with this guy.
He said, out of all the people in the comic book industry,
Right.
I would never ink this guy's work. Ink a guy's work. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And now here's the thing. First off, I mean, I know what kind of person Liefeld can be. I mean, I used to personally harass the man at every con I could go to as a kid because I was that guy buying the books and then harassing him because it was fun to do. He was a really, man, ever since that Levi's commercial at Comic Con, I want to say it was 91, 92, that was my first con I went to. I remember the Eisner Awards. He came strutting out and shit. It was crazy. But he's always been sort of like the rock star, kind of like, the Corey Feldman of the comic book industry, like I love the Corey movies, but I mean, we're really talking about Lost Boys here, not Lost Boys 3. So this is the guy who was thrown out of the company he named. We got to remember that too. Like whatever occurred basically occurred. Bad business between the two. You're talking about a young Stephen Platt and a rock star, multi-million-dollar, publisher, Liefeld, and fuck knows what went down between the two ultimately. I can tell you, having sold some books to Image, even back when I was shopping around the early 2000s, that the word I always got from people was, be careful, they'll never pay you. They really fuck with your numbers in terms of books sold. So when he says, ask Stephen Platt why they didn't let him publish. Who's doing that?
Not me.
You typing, Brandon?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, don't type. Don't type. So please, or just mute or something. I don't know. So anyway, fuck, you threw me off. Damn
Sorry.
you, dude. You can't type for an hour. Is you really? Let's have a conversation. Don't laugh, Mike. That's mean. But okay, so anyhow. I think some of the stuff that was coming through that I have to agree with Rob, though, and I can get what he's saying, is that Platt was like, this is a guy, we'd see his art and he would put all these details that would never reproduce, in the comic. And we knew this guy would never publish a monthly book. And he wanted to do a whole book as tapestries, and he compared himself to Mobius. And, and so I sort of, if I could think of a one-to-one, it really reminds me of Travis Charest. You both know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? So Travis Charest was artist over at Wildstorm, who took over Wildcats. And then every issue of Wildcats got more and more realistic looking, more and more detailed, He was doing like full ink wash, acrylic paintings, basically. And was essentially producing one issue a year. So it went from like monthly comic to one issue a year. And so Travis eventually just took himself out the equation and, said, hey, no one should have to pay me, to not produce a book for a year. So,
right.
I sort of feel like these guys get, and I can't blame them as an artist. The European way of doing comics is amazing in that they don't have to produce a ton and they get to see a lot of reward because people read in Europe. I lived in Germany for over 4 years, and when you're on those trains, you read. There's comic books, and they're printed huge, and they're at every Bahnhof station. You can buy them in English and German and whatever. So there's always that desire to be like, oh, these European guys, man, we want to be like that. Because, it's fucking a pain in the ass to draw these books all the time at the level of detail you want to as an artist. The reality is, comic books were really never supposed to be drawn like the way McFarlane and Jim Lee did them. They're really supposed to be drawn like simple art, like, Jack Kirby's a good artist, but it's not hyper realistic illustrations here, graphics.
It's a book of storyboards. It shows you what the story is. They're telling a story. They're not showing you the artwork. Right,
and so the rise of the 90s was this sort of better rendering, right? Better illustration. Yeah. And people go, oh, it's not better, the muscles. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to get into style. More effort put into the illustration came at the sacrifice of no more monthly books. And this industry needs volume, right? Like at the time they could buy their time because they were selling 500,000 copies, 200,000 copies an issue, as opposed to now where Spider-Man sells 40,000 a month. Spider-Man,
Right.
Yeah, but that's just a hangover of technology, though. I can grab my tablet and I can.
This is before that.
Pay
This
50
has been going
bucks
on
and
since the early 2000s. This has to do with the fact that people stopped reading. And more to the fact that Diamond took over as sole distributor, so they stopped putting comic books in 7-Elevens. They didn't put them at grocery stores or Walmarts, and you had to go to a direct market only. And then, those retailers don't want to carry comics because they don't make a lot of profit. They'd put a few comics in, but then sell Magic cards because there's more profit to be made on Magic cards than there ever would be on comics. There's a lot more factors on it than tablets. These guys could still move. Look, if you moved 1 million digital downloads, Mike, all right, at 99 cents, that's $1 million an issue. You could afford a $40,000 a month fucking artist, They're
Yeah.
not even doing that digitally. So it's not really that they haven't moved to digital, it's that they have not been able to engage their audience. I've tried to tell this, if you're a kid these days, would you rather be Batman in a video game or read about Batman in a comic book? Like that's what they're fighting against right now. So I don't know how to fix the comic book industry from that standpoint, other than it's been fractured. And in my opinion, it's better because now you get independent artists can do a lot more than you could before. However, this does get back to like this is a 20-year-old business decision that you know what I mean, business argument being taken to Facebook, which I find completely fascinating. I think you had a question, Brandon, about if perhaps when is enough enough? Like when are you talking too much either on Facebook about coworkers or
Right.
right?
I mean, do you think that he brought it up just for more attention to Rob Light to be, hey, I'm Rob Lightfield, I want more attention, or do you think this is just him always giving inside look on an industry that likes him and doesn't like him? I mean, because he's such a liked, hated person.
I've never worked for Rob, but I know people who have, and from what I know retailers who've hung out with him, and I've told you I've harassed him for years at cons. Rob Liefeld, from what I can garner, does things for the benefit of Rob Liefeld. I mean, McFarlane used to have a column in Wizard where he had to go out and defend Rob, my buddy. You ever read that?
No.
Yeah, you got to find it. It's like somewhere Todd McFarlane had this article he was writing in Wizard for a few issues, and one of them was where he defended Liefeld, and then within a year they threw Liefeld out the company. For trying to like basically snake Mike Turner from Top Cow.
All right.
So when he comes out and does that, it's because he's just bringing attention to himself. He likes. I mean, remember when he left DC last year, and his comments, were basically, Capullo didn't sell any Batman books because it's Capullo. He sold it because it's Batman.
All right.
And he's trying to take that dickish move, like, well, I'm just letting you know, I mean, Batman books are going to sell because it's Batman. You're not buying it because of Capullo. It's like he can't. He has an ego too. And I've never quite seen him make rational sense. I mean, I've dealt with him at cons, the man would charge, $100 for a sketch and kind of fuck it over a bit, you know what I mean? But, so, I don't know, dude. I mean, I've had offers to draw shit on the books from other artists that worked on his stuff recently. But it's always like, oh, there's no money, and they kind of pay you if they sell stuff, and I'm like, I don't need that fucking deal, Like, tell
Right.
Rob, did he make a name for himself in this industry by doing free work, So, I'm not interested. So no, I think it's totally a dickish move, but I think it's a separate situation. Them talking about this will not hurt either one of their careers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Stephen Platt kind of just came back to doing covers at Marvel, right? So I don't know how that affects him any. And Rob Liefeld does whatever the fuck Rob Liefeld does, so I don't fucking...
Right.
Well, hey, you got to remember, bad press is good press, no matter what you do.
Yeah,
whether
the
it's
question...
Twitter or Facebook.
The question is, Rob, can you say too much on your podcast? And the answer is, yeah, I can definitely say too much. At this point, I don't care.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to go out of my way and be like, oh, I work for this guy, and this guy sucks, and get hit with a libel suit. You got to be a little careful. Like, Courtney Love right now is having to defend Twitter libel right now in court over some shit she said. So you got to be careful about libel. However, I think that it's very safe to say, hey, in this industry, you got 2 publishers, and here's the fucking status quo amongst all publishers,
Right.
So, but then when you go over there and say, hey, Stephen Platt fucking didn't turn shit in on time. Well, this is Rob Liefeld couldn't produce a fucking issue of Youngblood on his own very often either. Remember that?
Right.
This is the guy who put his name on everything and drew nothing. Rob Liefeld's Brigade. Rob Liefeld's fucking Brigade 2. Rob Liefeld's Troll. And everyone else is drawing his books. He even admitted, I put my name on everything because it would sell, but then I didn't draw them, so I couldn't control the quality of the art. I'm like, but you didn't even draw Youngblood mostly, you know? Like,
Right.
how long did it take him to produce issue 6, which is the best drawn issue of Youngblood there is, you know? It took him a long time to produce that, and none of the issues looked like that after that,
Right.
you know? He had, what's his face took over? Uh, Chap Yape or whatever, you know? Like, I wish we could get a reporter on the street to go interview all the Extreme Studio artists, you know? Chap Yape, what do you think? You know what I mean? Like these guys that we don't even know of anymore, you know? To go and fucking explain what the hell. I mean, this is a guy who literally has taken poses and just redrawn them with this shit over there.
Right.
I mean, like, I can show you that infamous Captain America cover where his chest is popping out.
Right.
And I'll go show you the graphic, the character portrait for Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in Aliens vs. Predator, the video game. I was laying it out for GameCube a year ago. And so I'm throwing all the character portraits in, and that's the Captain America chest.
Right.
Like, because they were spoofing Arnold, this character, right, in the game as a spoof of Arnold. And
That
like,
is not shocking, though.
go look at it though. It's the exact same image. I'm like, wow, he janked that from AVP, dude. Like, he probably had a Capcom book somewhere, you know, that he figured who would know it's an import, you know.
Right.
I mean, he has that infamous image of Shaft and Badrock with like anime-looking guns, and it's a complete rip of Appleseed. It's an Appleseed pick that he redrew.
Right.
So he's not exactly the most ethical artist either, you know. And again, I always say they did throw him out of Image, you know. So your own friends turned on you, Rob. I mean, I think the sad part, you know, and I think the thing that we can kind of take away from this, for me, is that the complaints that I read about Steven from other people that worked at Extreme on that thread were that we would go into his office and Steven would be working on parts for issues that weren't even out yet. Like, he'd be like, he's supposed to be working on issue 7 and he's working on pages for issue 9. You know?
Right. 2 months ahead.
Yeah, shit like that when he should be finishing issue 7. And that's just a maturity thing. Like, I find myself constantly faced with that problem, especially when you're on your own as an artist. You get bored or distracted, or you get ADD, or you don't know how to deal with one thing, so you start working on something else, you know? But that doesn't actually accomplish the mission at hand. Right? The mission at hand is get issues.
I do that all the time with my beat sprites.
Yeah. So you end up with a lot of these half-ass fucking things, and most artists just don't finish something and move on to the next thing and get better or try to fix it the next time. They get caught up in the process. It becomes overwhelming, and you start to move on to something else. You know, and to that I say, well, that's a fucking management issue. So you're telling me you had a studio, you could walk into a guy's studio and see what he's up to, you know, and know one how to talk with him about what he should be working on. No, there was no single art director. I mean, I've worked in an art department, right? There was no one. Well, I mean, it had to literally be like Animal House with comics over there, right? Like, I mean, why is there not a real documentary on what the fuck was it like to work in those places, you know? Because if Rob Liefeld's running your company, it's got to be a frat house. I mean, it's Badger, dude. Like, you know, like.
And if you're paying someone $40,000 an issue, and you go into their, you know, their studio, their room, and they're not doing what you're paying them for, I mean, at least say something.
Well, think about this. I hear that, and I'm like, well, did you set him up for failure, Rob? Were you fucking with him? Because if you're like, I know where I'm at in my life, right? Now, these guys had already had big successes, and you could easily look at what Platt was doing, and be able to say, hey, now look, you know what I mean? Just so you know what I mean? Like, the way you draw is not going to work for a monthly book, you know. So either we get you an inker, you know what I mean, or we cut your price down in half and we do bi-monthly, or we do specific runs or something. But when you're like, I paid you, I'll pay you $40,000. You draw, you ink, you do it monthly. I almost feel like you were setting the guy up to fucking fail, or you wanted to watch him struggle or fucking learn his lesson or something. You catch my drift?
Or I look at him like a sports team owner. They'll want to buy the biggest stars, but not give them the best coach. Like, they want to get the best people in there, but then once they have them, not motivate them in the right direction. So like what you're saying.
Or you can always go fake it till you make it. That happens too a lot in multiple industries.
What do you mean?
Where you can say, hey, yeah, I can do this. Absolutely, I can do this. And then they hire you, and they pay you, you know, huge amounts of money, and then
I can't do it.
you swing it, man. And then if you can, cool. If not, then they boot your ass out.
Only he didn't boot him out. You know what I mean? He let him squander for how long? You see what I mean? Like, But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, that might have been something because we don't know though, you know, and no one's like really. I mean, they could be like, well, Rob, why don't you ask him those questions? I'll tell you something right now. If you complain too much to Rob, he'll unfriend you. You know?
He will. Yeah, he will.
Yeah. So I've learned to not bring stuff up. I just want to be in the loop. You know, like, I always compliment because he's a guy that I'm like, look, he's a fun artist. You know what I mean? And when he applies himself, you know, like you get fun art. And sometimes he does shit that I'm like, fuck, I would never do. And sometimes I'm almost like man just doesn't care if he draws shitty stuff, you know, and he's getting paid. So sometimes I wonder, like, well, do I struggle too hard? But I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't really, you know, think about it along those lines, really.
Right. And I mean, he's the only one talking. So all you get is his side of the story. You know, Stephen Platt's not going to come out and bash, you know, Rob Liefeld on Facebook or whatever. So all you get is Liefeld's point of view. You only get one
Did
side
he
of the
say
story.
Stephen Platt tried to become a comedian? Did you read that one? Like,
Yeah, I read that.
was that like
I don't know if that's true, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was probably some inside joke as to how I read that.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe he did stand up at a party of theirs or told some jokes or some shit.
But you know, I get back to the thing that with comic books, how many artists are monthly artists? You know what I mean? Like, and do books need to sell like I don't know, dude. Like art, especially the kind of art they're producing. I'm like, that's where he should have took advantage of the prestige format. You know, like
Right.
he easily could have put together a Marvel's type format at that time with Stephen Platt art around one big book. You know, fucking let him do his thing. You know, make sure the guy's getting fucking shit turned in every week. You know, and put out 3 issues worth of shit a year into one big format, and then let the guy just draw covers. You know.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say just have him do the covers on things. Kind of like, that's what a lot of artists do now. They just do covers.
So the fact that he couldn't even finagle that situation, I don't know if that guy was really focused on running a business, though. I think he was just doing whatever he could to generate as much money as possible at the time. That's how I read that era, with him
Right.
specifically. Because, I mean, Mike, you were there. I mean, there was a fucking Extreme book every which way you looked,
Mm-hmm.
Extreme Decisions. Remember, did you guys ever see he put out a fucking poster for Youngblood Year One, written by Kurt Busiek, and there was no script and no deal to write the book. He just did the shit because he wanted Kurt Busiek to write the book. I had the poster. They gave it away at Comic-Con. I was amazed. I was like, the guy who did Marvels was going to write Youngblood. It's amazing. He had this log cabin, and it was going to be like the origin of Youngblood and shit. There was no book. I was at a con once, and I'll never forget this. I was at this panel, and it was like an Image panel. This is like 2001, so it was like 10 years after Image or some shit. And Liefeld was like, yeah, we're going to have fucking, what's-her-face from Youngblood's going to team up with what's-her-face from fucking Top Cow. It was like some crossover between the chick who runs, there's a chick who runs fast in Youngblood.
Velocity, I think.
Well, that's a Top Cow character, but it was something like that. But Liefeld said it. He's like, oh, it's going to be this, and they're going to team up with this DC character. And so there was a DC panel in the same room 2 panels after that. I stayed in the room. So the DC panel comes up. I'm like, hey, Rob Liefeld says they're going to do this. And he was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I was like, well, he was here 2 panels ago spouting off about it. He was like, I don't fuck, it's Rob Liefeld. Like, I was like, that was around that was amazing.
That's awesome. That's unfortunate, but that's awesome.
It's the last time I went to con as a fan. So,
Liefeld's going to be I shouldn't even tell you this, but he's going to be at the con this weekend that I'm going to be at, that I have a table at.
You want to ask him a question?
I don't.
Will you ask him a question for the podcast? Say, Brandon, whatever, Sketchcraft podcast. We talk about comics and art and everything like that.
What's the question?
Damn, what would be the question we could ask?
A question that wouldn't get me loss of table.
Well, how are you going to lose your table for asking a question? Come on, man. It's a question.
Maybe when I ask it, you don't know.
Well, I mean, it could be the Stephen Platt shit, dude. I mean, is there anything I could really ask the fucking dude? That, like, beyond the fact that,
Do you think he'd get mad if I had him sign, like, a Stephen Platt Moon Knight?
No, he wouldn't care. I had my little brother hit him in the legs once with a fucking blaster in the middle of an interview, and he didn't lose his cool, dude. Like, I was a dick when I was a kid, and I was a much meaner man, put it that way. So I just really hate the fact that the guy was half-assing his shit. I mean, look, you could say, hey, you know, like, fuck, so many things. I don't know. Nothing. I'm not gonna con one question. You know, I don't know. There's nothing to add.
We'll think about it. We got time.
You know, I could just be like, hey, you know, I saw that thing with Stephen Platt that you were talking about. That you know, he didn't finish deadlines. You know, given your illustrious track record with Youngbloods, you know, what was your excuse? And then you know, hold the phone up. How come you were unable to finish? You know, what was it like putting your name on every Extreme book? You know, even though you didn't draw it, and they still wouldn't get done on time. I mean, no one met deadlines at that company.
Right.
Nobody met deadlines. It's fascinating.
I could ask him why he doesn't draw strings on his bow and arrows. That bugs the shit out of me.
You know what? Do it. Ask that one. And just, you know, go as reporting, hey, Brandon, you know, Lead Heavy, you know, Sketchcraft podcast. Can I ask you one question, Rob? Really, just one quick question, you know. Why no strings on your bows and arrows?
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yeah. Reporter
I'm so behind this.
Reporter on the field.
Right.
Come on, you can do it. He's not going to hit you. Look at you.
Oh,
yeah. Of course you wouldn't hit him.
What? I went to con and all I got was hit by Rob Liefeld, you know?
I wish he would. That's money for me right there.
Dude. No, we need to one of you guys draw.
You could ask him about Dooms 4.
Right,
when are we going to get Dooms 4? Like, yeah, I know. I'm the only guy who knows what the fuck I'm talking about. But
fair enough. I'll see what I can do.
Do it.
I'd love to know what happened to Chap Yates. That's what I'd love to know. All right, let's move on to the last topic really quickly. Brandon, you had a question about art trends.
Oh, yeah. What are some art trends you've really liked over the years that have made a comeback, and some that you hate? I know which ones you hate, but people listening don't.
Well, I think one of the things that I really like that's occurred over the years is that now anything's applicable, like anything's acceptable. That, you know, when I was a kid, that there would be sort of looks that would sort of move across an industry, and everyone shifted toward that look. A studio would all do one thing and then move to one thing. These days, you can have all sorts of looks, like, and they can all like gel. You know, like if Sam Keith drew Batman and Greg Capullo drew Batman, no one would complain that the styles didn't match the story or the universe. They would just say, well, the artist drew one way or didn't draw one way. You catch my drift?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So artists are allowed to have their own versions of characters now compared to before, where
I think it's more acceptable now than ever before, you know, than it has been in the past from the major companies. It's definitely from the independents, and then on the internet in general, like, I'm not required to, like, if one guy's big on Kotaku, I have to fucking knock his shit off all day long to sell something. You know what I mean?
Right.
If anything, it's like, wow, you don't look like these guys, but then you look like something I remember, so, you know, like, it's a bonus. So anything's acceptable. I think that's probably the best trend. I think the next trend is things like what Mike's doing. Mike does a lot of purling, right? It's these avant-garde side things.
Beat art.
Beat art. And I know some artists, you know, go, oh, beat art. I'm like, it's things like beat art, cosplay, costuming, things like that have come in and have allowed, you know, themselves to be as big as the art in a way, which is a good thing. The dark side of that is that then you end up with Comic Cons that are only featuring cosplay people and artists can't get in.
What is bead art?
What is bead art? Bead art is, do you remember those beads that you would put together on a plastic plate and then you would fuse them with an iron and make a design out of it? Do you remember that at all?
Basically, it's taking beads and recreating pixel art from video games usually.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, I've seen that.
Yeah.
But you are not limited to just the pixel art from video games. You can basically render anything you want and transfer it over. The only limitation is you have a very small palette.
Right. But because of the small palette, a lot of people do pixel art, which is not a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's
right.
Which I have to give a lot of love to because I've always liked giant pixels. The first thing I did when I took over GameFan, I was like, damn, I want giant fucking. We had this big magazine. I want big pixels. He didn't understand what I meant until I did a Shantae spread, and I was like, see, you can enlarge these pixels up to the moon. Pixels scale infinitely. So But it's things like that, crafting. When I went to con as a kid, only the retarded people showed up in costume, and myself. Like, I remember there was this really big fat dude who rocked around in aluminum foil and paper mache and had an Autobot symbol taped on his chest. And my little brother was like, "When did Optimus Prime get fat?" And I was like, "Ah, oh, you're ruining it for you." But now it's become, like the Japanese, it's become a huge art form and stuff like that. So I think that's a great trend. Independent comics and independent publishers through Kickstarter and things and independent web comics, that's a good trend. The bad side to trends, and I could tell you this started around like 9/11 time, is this push to make art more and more realistic. And what I'm going to say by that is like essentially then you're like redrawing actors and like the
photos and
yeah, this is where the Iron Man comic stops looking like a drawing and starts looking like Robert Downey Jr. and throwing CG backgrounds in. I'm not a big fan of the computer generated SketchUp background thing.
right.
I was all up on it. The second SketchUp was invented, I was like, finally, easy way to do 3D. I don't have to use Maya, and I could render whole cities. I tried it in 3 seconds. I'm like, this just looks. You can do these endless details, but they were meaningless to me. They didn't have any heart and emotion. And then when I ended up doing T-shirts, that stuff never sold. We always had to cut it out, cut around it, grab the older stuff. The
Right.
imperfections in art to me like say more about the art than drawing something perfect. So
Right.
I'm not a fan of that at all. And I'd have to say probably the biggest thing that I'm not a fan of is the idea of the artist getting paid or getting the least amount of credit on comics these days. Like it seems to me like now when they promote a book, it says the writer. You know what I mean? Like the writer is the
Right.
big deal. And I'm like, look, I understand the stories are important, but if they're that important, they should just write novels. Like I don't really see the fucking like if the pictures are unimportant, then fucking don't even produce the pictures, right? Just write words.
Right.
And because of that, I mean, I know plenty of I know big writers, and I know what they get paid, and I tell you, they make more than the artists. A lot of times, dude. There's a few artists that make the big bucks, but everyone else, writers are making, and they can do a lot more work too. I could see a company's standpoint. I can get one guy to write 6 books while one person's sitting there drawing one.
Right.
And they get away with a lot of bullshit too. Like you can take a whole book to fucking have a guy walk out the door, and you're like, I just paid how much to read this fucking shit? So I really wish if there's anything I could say this industry needs more of in terms of storytelling and comics and stuff, is it needs, like, for me, the stuff that I really like as a kid that I wish would work better in a mainstream comic would be the way stories were told, like in Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and some of those more like those but the way he would write in all the dialogue and these crazy word balloons and sound effects. Like I wish we could get that from a mainstream Batman book. Like why do they all have to look like they were lettered by Comic Craft? You know what I mean? And have widescreen
Right.
panels. Like, how does that make it any more legitimate? It's a fucking comic book. You know what I mean? There's, like, the more
Well-
fun it is, the better off for me. So
Right. Why can't the words be art on a page? Why can't they be incorporated?
because there's no money for them to spend on that, and if an artist does it, they won't look perfect, and they want it to look all clean. And this is why it drives me nuts when I see someone go to Kickstarter or do an independent comic at Comic-Con, and they try to make it look like it was produced at Marvel or DC, as if that's giving them legitimacy. It's like, look, if you literally just made this look like a really well-developed fan comic, I mean, your art could be good, but it could have, an element of fun, like Invader Zim with fucking tons of text and shit. It's okay to do that. You don't have to try to look like that. You're not going to be, first off, unless you sell 1 million copies, you're not going to look legit. Look at The Walking Dead. It's black and white and drawn like shit. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't adhere to any of those rules. This is the guy who created Battle Pope. Like, don't adhere to these rules to feel like you're legitimate. That's why it drives me nuts, Brandon, when it's like, I hear artists go, oh, I need a business card and a logo and a clever name to be. And I'm like, that. If you think that's going to pay your fucking con bill, dude, I mean, it reminds me of that Calvin and Hobbes comic strip where he's giving a book report on spiders and he has this really nice shiny cover, and he's like, look at the shiny cover, and then the fucking thing is bats are like the crazy spiders are the biggest bugs or some shit, and they're not even bugs. So
I don't know. What kind of artist would worry about his name? Who does
yeah,
that?
right.
Who does that?
It's very important. It's very important.
Whatever.com.
I know, right? So, So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, and then I think lastly, if there's any trend I've seen that has actually hurt the industry, it's these for-profit art schools. This idea that I'm going to go to an art institute or something, and I'm going to get myself 50, 60, $100,000 in debt, and I'm going to get a job at a video game company. Uh, that's
Boy,
horrible.
you're talking about Seattle, aren't you?
Talking about I went to art institute. I'm talking about for every fucking sucker who got dragged into that shit. You know, Brandon's wife is graduating, you know, from the art institute out there, and I think it's a complete racket, the whole thing. It's my
I
estimation.
agree with you 100%. I've not met one person that has come out of Seattle Art Institute and been happy, been content, like gotten what they've wanted. Not at all. All they've ever said is just, "Wow, I just went and spent $60,000 and I got nothing to show for it."
Right. Expectations versus reality.
Yeah, the reality is you
and
can't.
it's every time. It's every time. Every person I know, and we're talking 10, 20 people from high school on up that have just been like, "Hey, I want to, go to the Art Institute because it's right there, right? It's right in Seattle. We're 10 miles away from it." And every single time, every single person is like, waste of money.
Yeah, there are people who go and they get jobs, and I had friends that got jobs at Sony and stuff, but there was nothing for me. I was like, well, how do I, you want to draw comics? I'm like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, I want to draw, I don't, and well, you want to be a texture artist? Like, what they try to do is they try to take you as an artist, filter you down to the most basic entry-level job that their so-called jobs department can find. Really, it's them going on the Gama Sutra and reposting the fucking job listings, right? And then taking credit for it. And then hoping to somehow get some affirmative action like deal where the studio will agree to give temp time or whatever to that art institute in exchange for co-branding or what I mean, a lot of love, free ads and shit like that. So but they try to filter you into these little things, and I'm like, that doesn't teach you art, doesn't teach you how to be a better artist, doesn't teach you anything you need to know other than how to get an entry-level job at a studio that maybe you're qualified for or not qualified for. Oh, by the way, chances are studio won't exist in 12 months. So you better be prepared to move. Like, they don't even talk about, in any of those classes, do they ever sit down and say, now, so art studios, game studios, they come and go. You know what I mean? Right. You're going to be like a DJ. You're going to be like moving from state to state on a whim, getting paid the least amount of money. Some of you might make good money if you get into systems or coding, or maybe you're the person who gets to design where the trees go on an MMO. You might be able to ride that wave for a little bit, but at some point, your job will be automated and shipped over to fucking India, or Singapore or somewhere. And so your future's Kickstarter. Now pay us $60,000 so we can teach you how to. Next thing is going to be the Art Institute and their Kickstarter curriculum. How they'll teach you how to make fucking $200,000 on Kickstarter and pay off your tuition. That's coming, like if it isn't already there. And that to me is the worst trend. That at school you can teach, you can be entertaining, or you can teach how to stand in front of an audience. But you cannot teach someone to be entertaining and stand in front of an audience. Yep. You can't teach it. Yeah, you can't teach it. You have to go there, do it yourself. And if you're going to get a certificate to be I always say, why don't they give certificates in rock bands? You know what I mean? Why don't they give? Because it would be ludicrous to go to a college to become a rock band. You just become a band and learn to play. Go fucking. Because we would see through it too easily. Catch my drift?
Yep.
So that is the worst art trend that I have seen dominate. And the fucking federal government, if it had any balls, would go after these fucking things and shut them down in 2 seconds and offer a loan repayment plan that is worth a percentage of what you actually owe. I'm saying we'll pay something back, but make it worth the fucking bullshit piece of paper they sold you.
Rob's
a lot too. It's a lot too.
Yeah, and I'm willing to go toe-to-toe with any fucking person right now from the art institutes. Anybody right now that wants to defend it. If you're listening, if you think I'm in the wrong, you come on the fucking podcast, and I'll put the shit on YouTube. You know what I mean? And you could fucking defend your bullshit fucking school and the way you rape and pillage artists, and you fucking, honest to fucking God on my life, anything but one of these for-profit schools. Anything. Go to fucking SeaWorld and draw caricatures for 5 years. You'll learn more about how to be an artist than fucking sitting through that goddamn school. So, yeah.
How do they get away with that though? I mean,
because they sell you loans they know are going to fail. The whole industry gets away with it. How does a school like North Carolina say we're going to give athletes an education, right? Let them skim through all the classes so they can make all the money in the college football. Pay these guys no college football. Give them a diploma they can't even read. You know what I mean? It doesn't start and stop with art schools. It starts when you have education as a for-profit medium, and the name of the game is bring in as many as possible, and ship them out. I mean, it's on, and I knew going in, I saw it change, and I had this bad problem. I grew up with, you will eat everything on your plate, Rob, And so I was in a situation like, I got to see this through. I should have got out and, fuck this. I don't need to finish it. I don't need a fucking degree, Fuck this stupid shit. It's art, Best thing I ever did was started going to Comic-Cons, and I got myself, that place has got me no jobs ever. If anything, they got in the way of me doing anything I wanted to do. Made me not want to be an artist.
So that's definitely your most hated trend.
Yeah. For-profit art schools.
We got the Rob Rage going.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep it going.
This rant was brought to you by the University of Sketchcraft.
No. Yeah, for a non-for-profit podcast. You know what I mean? Although, thankfully to YouTube, this year the podcast will be brought to you by YouTube and viewers like you. So, it's actually going to pay for the podcast this year, thanks to the AdSense or whatever they have on there. So,
I think that wraps up that question.
Right. Well, that's it for this week, folks. It was a pretty fun thing. Mike, thanks for joining in. I'm sure you'll be back again soon. Where can we find you on the internet, Mike?
You can find me on Facebook at spriteart.com, SPR something, Sprite Art, and Twitter. Spelled differently.
I can't seem to find that key on my keyboard, whatever key.
Somewhere. It's Sprite with the right.
All right, cool.
And DeviantArt and begoodfinger.com or begoodfinger at deviantart.com.
Right.
That's where you can find me.
Right. And Brandon, where can we find you?
You ready for this, Mike?
I'm ready.
You can find me at leadheavy.com. You can find me on Twitter at leadheavy, Instagram at leadheavy, and on Facebook at Brandon James Art.
That's so much easier than mine.
Right?
Yeah, look at that. Brandon, it's amazing you came up with all that.
See, that's me strutting in front of you right now, Mike.
Sir, you are strutting.
You just did the Olaf dance from Buffy. The jig of happiness. All right, as always, folks, you can find me at sketchcraft.com, iTunes under Sketchcraft. That's Sketch, CRAFT, the name of the podcast.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, DeviantArt, same old. Talk to you all next week. Later, bye. Sketchcraft is recorded in front of a live internet audience and supported by listeners like you. Please be sure to leave a review on iTunes, like and share our Facebook page, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. All links can be found at sketchcraft.com. That's Sketchcraft, C-R-A-F-T, the name of the podcast.com. Remember, every little bit counts and it all helps to grow the show. Thanks.